Snitches get riches. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, you can like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. And here we are, episode 3 of the new Saved by the Bell reboot. This one's called The Bayside Triangle, which is the name of one of the OG episodes of the same name, which also have a similar theme that happens throughout this particular episode. So the main through line, story A of this particular episode, is that Ron, the principal, has mistakenly lost 30 iPads. 30 iPads are lost in Bayside. He lost them in his office slash home because he's now living in the school. Um, but he's lost the iPads, and that creates a bit of a mayhem or a bit of a distrust amongst the new students when you think about an integration. Typically, the privileged white kids are going to blame the underprivileged or new kids or ethnic kids as the culprits of the theft. And that is sort of what the baseline of this episode is. There's some B stories and C stories too. One of them is that Daisy is being super judgmental as she has been for all of this. Aisha's sort of acclimating well to Bayside. She loves it. She's top quarterback. She's got a guy that's kind of digging on her. Daisy, on the other hand, is being very judgmental and is like, everything's racist, everything's about the man, blah blah blah, rah rah rah. That's her. That's who she is. And then the C story, which is actually the name of the episode, is the Bayside Triangle. It's based on Mac and Jamie pining over the same girl, and Daisy is aware of this. It's a bit of a comedy ensues. Daisy is aware of this, and that they are pining over the same girl for quite some time. Way before they actually realize it, they're describing the girl the same way, and they keep doing mental gymnastics to disprove that they're speaking about the same girl. And Daisy is just talking to us, breaking the fourth wall, saying, "Hey guys, you." It's clear that they're dating the same girl. So that's a bit of a fun comedic exchange between them. We also learn that Lexi sort of discloses to Daisy in this episode that she has had a long-term crush on Jamie. She does it in a very mean-spirited way. Lexi is hands down now my favorite character in this new series, but she's doing it in a way where she's degrading and just lashing out at Daisy, and Daisy has no idea where it's coming from. Calls her a dumb bitch, and Daisy has no clue where that is coming from, but it's done in a way that it's funny and aggressive, and then once you realize the payoff, you're like, oh, that's how we got here. So a lot of where the meat potatoes of this particular episode is in Aisha and Devante. A lot of times what happens when people are accused of a certain underprivileged or ethnic background, they tend to lash out on each other if they think that it's going to mess up what they are getting or what's new for them. Sort of a crabs in the barrel type of mentality. But Aisha is loving Bayside. I mentioned that earlier. Devante is also liking it. He's coming around to it. But the first person that they're going to blame is Devante. All the white folks in this school are blaming all the ethnic folks. They're doing it as a mass. One of them stole it. Aisha and Daisy outright think that Devante has stolen it. Has no clue, doesn't know, but has no idea what has happened to these iPads, and they think he's the one who done it because of his past. He's been more proclivity to actually stealing before, and so they immediately say it's him. And Devante kind of says, like, "Why are you coming at me? Like, you have nothing to prove. You have nothing that proves that I've done it, and you're lashing out because you don't want the white folks in this school to blame all of us. You want to just point it on me so that I can take the brunt, so that you can still live the sweet spot part that you've gotten here at Bayside." And it's a hard hitting thing to do. It's one of those message points or one of those things that we wouldn't have gotten in an old school Saved by the Bell episode because we just didn't have this much diversity in ethnic background. But there is always sometimes an infighting in between people of color, because they are always trying to prove themselves to the privileged, and sometimes they do that at the behest of backstabbing the other. All in all, though, we find out principal's an asshole. He's a dumbass. The iPads had been under his desk the entire time, and in a bit of a thing, he says, "Oops." He won't mess up the joke and the punchline to it, but like he has a pretty good payoff of telling the school that he actually had the iPads the whole time. Um, Sort of a crack in the armor between the Douglas kids in this episode, but they end up kind of rectifying at the end because Aisha does go visit Devontae and make amends. And I think they're when it's all said and done, they end up on a pretty good footing. It's a really good episode. An episode, like I said, wouldn't have happened back in the day, but I think it's something that when you can do different things and not stick to the same method that you always do, it's always a good thing to kind of come up with something new, even though the title was based on something from before. Mac and Jamie are in full on AC Slater and Zach Morris mode, fighting over the same girl. They go through these pranks. Mac is a master prankster. He's just as good as his dad, maybe a little bit more absent-minded and a little more aloof, but he's just as smarmy at using opportunistic ways to get ahead as his father was. And I think the last thing we'll talk about in this episode, we get a flashback teacher, by the way. I didn't mention that. There's a flashback teacher. I won't ruin it, but if you're a fan of Saved by the Bell, you'll see him the second he walks on screen, and hope he sticks around because it's kind of cool to. You would think 30 years, not all the teachers would be there because some of them are up there in age. But if you have one that sticks around, this is a profession that they will stick around. But back to the AC Slater thing. If anybody can talk to Mac and Jamie about uh, the perils of ruining your friendship over a girl, AC would be able to do so, and he does. He gives his rah rah speech about how like yeah, I used to kick it with your mom and used to kick it with your mom too, and and your dad was my best friend, and those kids turn it around on him to make him feel that he is not living the best life that he should be. But they're okay after all of that. They realize that hey, Mac and Jamie are like, you know what? Don't need to fight over the same girl. This is not the girl we're going to want to marry for the rest of our lives. You're right, AC. We're going to bounce. And they're happy. AC is thinking, crap. One of those was the girl that I wanted to marry. So this is the first time you sort of get a hint that AC may want more out of what he has in life, or specifically probably with Miss Jessie Spano. But that is the Bayside Triangle. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Go ahead, leave your comments in the comments below. Are you liking where this series is heading so far? If you want, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI or hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And I will be back later today with episode 4 of Saved by the Bell. Till then, I got my ticket. You got yours.